this week's YouTube video, I'm so excited to bring back Jeff so that we can have another episode of Construction Talk. Well, good morning, Jeff. How's it going?
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Happy to be here.
I'm excited to get you back on. We've done a couple of these, starting to get a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it's time we bring some focused questions about, our different roles here. So let's start off by, talking about your role here at Exco.
My role, I feel like I wear a lot of different hats. I got a lot going on, which I don't mind. It keeps me well versed in the heartbeat of the company, which I very much enjoy. I kind of need that. My role, I'll start. I can be the front lines and speaking with potential clients. Somebody will call in, has a project in mind, doesn't really know where to start. Yeah. So I'll be their first line of contact of really figuring out what they want. From there we can get them some information and continue along their lines of thinking there, or actually, get some contracts drawn up and start on something concrete. And I'll work with them all the way, till we get to the construction phase, and we'll work with you and still not really pass them off and still be working, with you on the back end there.
Yep.
But continue with them through the project and shaking hands with them, handing them the keys at the end of the project. So involved through every single stage. And that's really kind of where we can shine. Is we don't have any gray areas. There's nothing that one of us isn't touching, and we're always in communication and just keep everything flowing.
I think that's been key as we've shifted to this more design build model, is that, when you work with an architect, there's that like we have a handoff, but the handoff's a little different. With the architect, they're going to hand you everything, and it's almost please don't contact.
Yeah.
When you work with a design build firm, the design's in-house. And so, as project management has a question or feedback, we're constantly, right now at this point, we're reviewing every job, every lead, every week. Mm-hmm. Is pretty much where we're at. And I plan to continue doing that as we bring on other project managers and stuff like that, is that me and you as the critical leaders in the organization, buck stops with us kind of stuff, that, we have those kind of reviews. And what that enables us to do is, I'm catching stuff on the design side so that you're a better designer. Mm-hmm. And then you're catching stuff as I'm building and implementing to make sure we're building it the way that it needs to be built based on the design. Mm-hmm. So we're always constantly in this back ebb and flow, visiting sites together, checking in on stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. With that being said, one of the, the big keys is that collaborative approach between design and contractor. From your perspective, what makes that work so well for us? And what advice would you give for other people looking to possibly bring design in-house and kind of implement our model?
From my perspective, why it works so well for us is, getting to work with the project manager, getting to work with the person who's going to be on the ground, getting this built, who has intimate knowledge of building practices, even more so than I do. Getting to work with them on that front end and making sure there's not going to be any hiccups in the design through the build. We can foresee any potential problems for the site on the front end, which is going to save so much time and money for us, for the client, back and forth from the client, trying to figure out what exactly we can do. What I'd recommend for a team to really incorporate a design build is, step one would be to test it out. Maybe find you a third-party designer that you could reach out to and kind of test the waters of how that process might work. Once you kind of dialed in your processes where you could incorporate that into an in-house situation, in-house firm, make sure you're going to find somebody that's going to mesh with your team, that is going to understand what you're trying to do in the projects that you're trying to fulfill, the client experience you're trying to get across. And if you're sure it's going to work out, then you can kind of structure your whole business off that first initial design build, and then from there you can kind of go where you want it to. Step one would be third party, and make sure it's going to work for you. And then step two would be finding that designer that's going to mesh with your team and mesh with your ideals.
So when a contractor approaches that third party designer, let's say somebody's approaching us because, we offer design services and consultation as a standalone service. What information are you looking for that makes your job just a lot easier?
I need budgets. That's probably first. What's the scale of the budget, the project they're looking at, some general style of the houses they're looking for, some finishes, some information on the lot would be ideal. And then really from there, it's a whole lot of dealing with the clients and what they want there. But budget and scope is really one of the main avenues that I need.
It is huge. I like that you mentioned like some information on the lot because, we build in the mountains and site work and foundation cost is infinitely variable. One thing I love about what we do in the design side is that building a new house is relatively a simple process overall, with infinite complexity inside of that.
Yes.
So it's a very simple process, but infinite variables.
Yes.
And so I think that's what makes it so difficult and why you want as much of that information up front as possible, because we need to narrow down the infinite amount of possibilities, because otherwise you're just shooting blanks and it makes it
burning tires, wasting time.
Yeah, it could take so long. What's a typical time length to do a custom design? Let's say it's just a 2,500 square foot house. Somebody brings you like a general style bedroom, square footage, and they give you a GIS or elevation map of the lot. What's a turnaround time on something like that?
Usually if there's nothing too abnormal, it's probably about 30 hours of design time. That would be a handful of hours really understanding the site and trying to get a good idea of the project. And once I have a good understanding, it's just drawing it out and making sure it's going to mesh with the site and mesh with the construction phase of it. Because I could see something and it may not exactly be able to be built like I'm seeing. So I need to make sure that I'm vetting on my processes and make sure that it's going to actually work in the real world.
I think now with technology, it's just really exciting how technology and software, we use Chief Architect, not a plug, wish they would sponsor us, it'd be cool. But we use Chief Architect and other technology with all the GIS systems being online and stuff. Like at this point, for the most part, if we have a parcel ID anywhere in the United States, we can virtually handle this whole process. Like as far as the design side, technology's made that super fluid. What are some benefits of using technology in your process? How do you use it? We've talked about BIM, 3D printing and modeling, AI, virtual walkthroughs. Like what are some tools that you're using that make this a much more fluid process?
Well, just in Chief Architect and kind of go back to the sites we were talking about. I mean, some of these sites are an hour, 2 hours away from where our office is. To go do a site visit at one of these, could potentially be a half day wasted. Well, not wasted, but a half day used, to go get eyes on a site. So if I can build this out in a 3D software and get a decent understanding of the lot and how the flow of the environment, the flow of the lot is flowing. Oh my God.
The lot is flowing.
I can save a half a day of time and get pretty close to understanding what we need. Now, of course, I still need to do a site visit and get eyes on it at some point. But if I could take a little bit of time, build it in a CG, which I'm going to have to do at some point anyway, it's going to save time there. In presentations, client presentations, I really have really going to appreciate AI and being able to present these ideas to my clients in a much faster time frame. I used to be able to get these renders together and kind of dress them and make them look pretty that I feel like the client's going to have an emotional reaction from. But that may take me an hour or two to do that, which the presentation is very important. But if I can do that same thing in a quarter of the time with some AI, hey, that's a win-win for my part. So AI scary, yeah, but there's many avenues that can help maximize time.
I think something cool about what we're able to do now with the virtual walkthroughs, the AI, the renders, is that how people get connected to their home. A lot of it, especially because we're in residential, it's very emotional. People need that connection. And I think through your photographs and the way you can use light and sunlight and furniture and full renders is you can really create that that warmth, that feel of being in the home. And I think getting people able to better visualize what it's going to be like, because like, I can look at a flat plan and see it. I realize that's a special skill.
Yeah, most people cannot.
Most people cannot. And
Most people don't want to.
Even at elevations, most people can't take a kitchen elevation and be like, that's a kitchen. Like they don't fully understand and comprehend the 2D to 3D in your brain. And so the fact that we can take that and show them what the countertop's going to look like, what the sunlight's going to look like in the living room, and create that feel for them is definitely key on getting us, to the closing table to be able to move forward. I think that's huge. And I think being able to do the models and do that at scale and volume and not be geographically confined is going to be huge for our business over, say, the next 2 years.
I think it'd be easier to sell those jobs on just renders versus just on 2D plans. Like showing the client only renders, never even showing them a 2D layout of your house. This is what your house is going to look like. Okay, cool.
And here's ballparks what it's going to cost.
Yep.
With such a long, complex process, because some of our life cycles might even be 2 years. Like the McVeigh job, probably going to stretch out 2 years from the initial contact to completed job, maybe longer on theirs. So communication throughout the process is definitely super important. What are some strategies you use on, keeping the client updated? How do you keep track of all that? Because I know like right now we've got like 3 projects contracted, 5 in design, and 8 leads, 10 leads.
Probably about more, yeah. About
and so we're juggling, 20 plus clients right now. How are you managing and keeping track of all that? And what are some strategies for other people to handle client communication?
Notes, lots of notes. Make sure you're taking notes. Where you're at with each specific client, what's going on that day. Make notes for Monday morning when you're leaving for the weekend. As far as reaching out to clients, I talk to them like I want to be talked to. I approach them in the same way that I'd want to be approached when I'm spending this much money. I treat each project and each client with sincerity, and I feel like they respond to that in kind. Even if we're particularly butting heads on a budget or something, we're still kosher. We're still able to talk through things and work through a problem. I'm your partner in this situation. I'm not here to fight you. I'm not here to make your life hard. Like I'm here to make everybody happy, and then everybody's going to get something that we want at the end of the day.
We're in it together.
Yeah. And like you said, we may be communicating for 2 years constantly, multiple times a week, so I want to be working with you and not working against you, so that's the way I approach that, is a lot of notes and sincerity.
I like that. Right now we have everything in Asana. And it's just like Monday, Trello. There's probably 50 programs that all do the same thing, like that board style task management. I think templating out and keeping, here's our leads, here's where they're at, and constantly keeping notes in there. And I think one of the important things for our team is, you handle a lot of the sales process, but sometimes I jump in, or you ask me to jump in, or I get the lead, whatever. And being able to keep it somewhere we can both read through those notes is key. And then knowing how we hand off into, we keep project management over here. We're still in builder trend. Tried to leave, came back.
It does what it does well.
But having reminders, calendar reminders, because, different clients at different stages need to be communicated with in different frequencies,
And wait, too,
Yeah, right now, the one Todd job, like, if I don't message her almost every day right now, she's going to message me. And because she's antsy. Right. She's at that phase where in the foundation, winter's been long and hard, and she's just, gotta get it done, gotta get it done. We're coming up on
see some
deadlines, see some progress and stuff like that. And so I understand. I understand kind of bashing her head into the wall. And so they're going to need a lot more hand-holding right now. Versus, like the other Todd job, like they were well aware winter was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool, keep me updated.
And a mile apart, a couple miles apart, and 2 incredibly drastically different job sites.
Oh, they are 5 minutes apart.
And
one's on north side, one's on south side of the mountain. There's like a 200-foot elevation change, 300-foot elevation change, and drastically everything about those 2 sites is
sunlight
different.
versus no sunlight.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's just wild having to deal with all that and keeping in communication with client, and then just setting those clear expectations and boundaries and stuff.
It's really that transparent communication that we're able to have. Like there's no guessing games. There's nothing at all. You can go where I put all my information and go see everything that that I need to communicate.
We got like 3 minutes. What's your timer? Okay. Final controversial question. Do you think it's a good idea to be transparent and show them, your markup, profit, and overhead? And how do you think clients receive that? Because that's what we do most of the time. How do you think, is that a good idea, bad idea? And how do clients take that typically?
Me personally, I think it's a good idea. I like to be transparent. Knowing that we're not hiding anything, I think helps that. If we were a company that was looking to hide things, I wouldn't be able to work for that company. I've left companies for that reason. I need to be transparent, which is why I approach my clients with sincerity. It goes along in that. I don't think it's a bad thing to share. If a client doesn't want us marking up and doesn't want us to make our money, that's not somebody we want to work with. It's a two-way street here. We need to be able to stay in business to keep our lights on and keep our families fed too. So,
we line item everything and just show them, here's our markup, here's our profit. If you don't like it, call someone else.
Yeah.
We're pretty transparent in that.
Yeah.
As much as we can be. There has to be a little buffer here, and then we're going to make a little less here. So it averages out. So that way we don't compete at different things. But, thanks, Jeff, for an exciting episode. We're going to start making Construction Talk one of the regular things we do to kind of go through what it's like to be a design build general contracting firm.
Yeah.
As always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you guys got value from this, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and let us know what questions you want to have answered from a design build firm. Be sure to check back in next Tuesday as we drop another YouTube video. See you next time.